Hey, Matt, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. Basically, today we are in different places. Yeah, we were talking before. Yeah, I'm just meeting today from a friend of mine's office, so that's kind of cool. It seems that you are away from home as well. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm away from home to go back home. So I'm back in my hometown where I grew up. Our little boy turns his birthday's this weekend, so we came back home to celebrate.
Okay, that's really nice, really nice. So, Matt, today's topic is another really, really nice one. And of course, if you are watching this video and you saw the previous videos, this one actually is a proposition. Actually, it's a proposal that we came from the last one. And the last one we were talking about, the beauty of trying to get questions where
Mhm.
actually we think we won't find the answer. And in that process, the process of curiosity, one interesting
Mhm.
one is this topic actually, is this thing. What if everything is unsolvable? We are so used to think that everything is solvable, everything has a solution, and because the scientific method and the way that we are learning and the way that we were trained, to learn,
Mhm.
it's about okay, everything has a solution, and you will be able to find solutions to everything. But let's stop for a minute, let's stop for one moment, and let's move to the other way. What if everything is unsolvable? What if everything that we are trying, what if everything that humankind is trying to accomplish actually is unsolvable? What if everything in math, in physics, in chemistry, astrophysics, engineering, math, psychology, psychiatry, I don't know, what if everything is unsolvable? But the thing is not just for the sake of saying, but the curiosity behind uh, how will be our approach, how do I react to the endeavor if previously I know that actually doesn't have a solution. That's the introduction today. So what do you think about the topic today, Matt?
Well, a lot. And as usual, as you start talking, I start thinking of new things and different things. So I can just throw away everything I wrote down and stuff. But it is interesting because listening to you again here is one of the things I realized is this isn't just a question. What if everything is unsolvable? What if it's also an attitude? So, right? Because think about it. There's almost like, there's two different types of people when they see a challenge, those who run away and retreat, and those who jump all in, right? And it's one of those things I'm curious if you knew it was unsolvable, would you still try to pursue a solution? Would you still try to work towards, even if not a solution, something better? Or would you just go, hey, it's unsolvable. I'm out, right? Let's go. And it is interesting because I think when you look at some of the biggest innovators, doers in and not just today, but throughout history, they're definitely the former type of attitude, right? They've got this attitude that it's solving the problem isn't what drives them, right? As much as that attitude of I want the challenge, I want to keep pursuing. And again, it's easier said than done, but when you can have that attitude, it may not help you solve the thing that you're looking for, but it'll help you solve maybe smaller things or other things, right? And it just made me start thinking about this idea of attitude. I know we touch a little on motivation and attitude, but I never thought it would come up with this question. So I'm smiling. It made me think of that.
Yeah. That one example, for example, today,
Mhm.
that I think is up to date. It's perfect for this time that we are living now.
Yeah.
If we think in terms of the Olympics, for me, superhumans. if you go to the Olympics, oh my God, you are in the, I don't know, 0.0000 something percent of
Exactly.
the of our species. Basically you are a superhuman,
Yes.
And maybe some guy will ask, hey, I need to solve the problem, but I need to find a way to be able to run the 100 meters under 9 seconds.
Hmm.
What? No, there's no way. I don't know. Let's find a way.
Hmm.
No, it's impossible. It doesn't have a solution. It's unsolvable. I don't know. That's the type of things when you are approaching to these superhumans. Actually, the
Uh-huh.
best of our species in terms of physics and training and discipline and mindset. Um, because if you go, for example, the triple jump, this lady from Venezuela, and it was a world record, and it was there for almost 20 something years, the previous one, and she broke the record not just for 1 inch, 2 inches, but almost 10 inches. What? That's this is something that 2 years ago, 10 years ago, this is something that it looks unsolvable. It looks unsolvable for somebody, but for other people, as you said before, is the way that we are approaching to the situation, and how do we approach something that we think is unsolvable. And it's in the beauty of the process. It's in the beauty of the doing, not just the beauty on the result that we get to find, to try, to test this one idea, test this
Hmm.
theory, test this hypothesis that challenging the status quo and even challenging the thing that we think we doesn't have a solution. We can enjoy the process, because other way it's like, I don't know, getting to the roulette or going to Las Vegas and knowing, hey, I know the solution for sure. Now this is something that, no, I think the excitement is in the process,
Yeah.
and that's some of the ideas that I have. Of course, I have tons of ideas today, but I hear from you.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up the example of the triple jump in the Olympics because it's even more relevant. It just happened. One of the things before you said that I was writing down is the 4 minute mile, or I guess 1600 meters, right? And it's fascinating because that was an impossible, that was an unsolvable challenge. Nobody could run under a 4 minute mile. Then when it's embarrassing, right? When the guy did it, now everybody does. And believe it or not, you or I could probably do it, even at our advanced ages. If we dedicated our time, even as old as we are now, we could probably train to get close to, and if not now, maybe a few years ago. But this was something that was universally impossible. And now it's routinely done. High school students do it, right? So going back to kind of that attitude and like what you're talking about, the triple jump, she didn't just beat it by a little, but by a lot. And what if now the world record's beaten again and again, right? So there's something for that pursuit of the impossible or the unsolvable that has these side effects that are very beneficial to not just the individual, but to everybody, right? And we also see it in technology, right? It was impossible to have a phone in your pocket. And now we've got all kinds of different phones, right? And it's not just a phone, it's a library, it's a movie theater, it's all of these different things. And it's fascinating. Sometimes it takes that one person or that one group or one whatever to approach it. And going back to the original question, they don't just solve that problem, but now there's a new unsolvable in its place.
Yeah.
Right? So it's that perpetual, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the perpetual movement,
Mhm.
It's the perpetual clock, perpetual time. It's a cycle. It's like the space. traveling and moving around itself, but now which space is moving around which one. So basically, once you find the solution to this one, now you get to realize that it's another one because you just found the solution to the previous.
Yeah.
So that's something that it is really nice. And in terms of curiosity, because basically this is our main topic, it's when you are opening areas, space, roads of curiosity, and you blend this curiosity with knowledge of, I would say, technology, science, nanotechnology. For example, let's get back to the example of the Olympics. And nowadays we have enough technology and we have enough knowledge to be able to replace limbs,
Yeah.
And we say, hey, now that the world record is 16 something meters, how do we solve the problem to go beyond 20 meters? How do we solve the problem, or how do we solve the problem to take a human or a man or a woman and make it able to run the 100 meters under 8 seconds? Oh my God. What if we replace some parts of the leg muscles with nanomaterials? Where we change the bones, or if we inject some technology or some, I would say, some material in the bones, and we make it more flexible. So basically, we can take more, I don't know, the compression, and then the compression will make faster the movement. Now we are applying the what if. And the one will say, hey, what if we have the technology? Oh my God, do we have? And somebody will say, not today, but maybe tomorrow. Or the other guy will say, yes, we do, but we are not allowed to use it. And that's the way of actually getting to more exciting stuff. That the stuff that we know for sure that we can find the solution. That's how to use this concept in the curiosity-based learning method, in the curiosity-based thinking method.
And that's the trick to do. I always say you can't use the curiosity-based learning, curiosity-based thinking. You can't do it wrong, and you can't break it. I always start out with telling people about that. But I also encourage them, in order to make it work the best for you, your what ifs have to be impossible. They have to be crazy. The more impossible, the better. Because sometimes it's those little breadcrumbs that drop along the way. Right? We talked about that in the last one, right? It's not always solving the end goal, but sometimes it's the things you discover along the way. Saludos, Fernando.
We got you Fernando. Here. Hi, Fernando. Glad to you are here watching the show. Saludos from Colombia, and hi from the U.S. as well.
Argentina, U.S., Argentina, Colombia. I'm happy for you guys to be connecting. Yeah. And I also like, because Fernando is down in, I keep saying here, Patagonia and Antarctica. And I love that, because so much, we talk about outer space. And I was going to talk about, Elon Musk going to Mars instead of, the moon, because it's more unsolvable. But here on our own planet, right, Antarctica is very much an unsolvable place. Like, how do you live on Antarctica? What's the purpose of it? It's just kind of there. But, there's scientists going there. There's so much discovery to be made. There's a lot of unsolvable things, I'm sure, floating around and happening on Antarctica as well. Yeah.
That's a beautiful example of you using our own planet. The thing that we sometimes take for granted, that we know, hey, we need to go to Mars. Yeah, but are we done with Antarctica?
Yeah.
Maybe not. No, because somebody will argue, no. There's no more things to find in Antarctica. Okay, how do you know?
Yeah.
Or why, if we still have everything to be discovered in Antarctica? Oh no, that's impossible. That's the one that I want to go after.
Yep.
Because it's unsolvable. And when you think, and I will quote here Isaac Newton,
Mhm.
uh, and he used to say that the reason some things are unsolvable, or many things are unsolvable, is because we don't have the tools yet
Mhm.
to get to the solution. And the reason that so many things are unsolvable today is that we don't have the knowledge even to understand the nature behind that things, or that phenomena, and for that reason today it's unsolvable. and
Yeah.
he and I love Newton because one of the things that he used to say, it's let's get to the point that where we have the knowledge to create the tool, to create the resources, to make something that was unsolvable solvable. But the beauty is that once we solve this one, we will face a new set of unsolvable problems in the world. And
Mhm.
guys like this one that we still are studying in our high school, universities, actually changed the game of the human species. He's changed the game of the scientific development. And if we take this approach not as a negative stuff, but with the positive side of the story, I think
Mhm.
it's nice for our way of thinking, for the way of even working and even having relation with people.
Mhm. It's also curious. Now my brain is in South America in the oceans, and I'm also it makes me think about what if there are some things that are unsolvable today that weren't unsolvable in the past? Because you're right with Isaac Newton, and we need these tools and everything else. But it's hard for me not to think of South America and the oceans without thinking of of Easter Island, right? With the big heads. And it's fascinating because somebody settled that from somewhere. The theory is that they canoes, wooden boats, right, sailed from somewhere in Southwest Asia or Southeast Asia all the way across the Pacific and landed on this island. Now, they would do this, and these Polynesian sailors would go out in wooden boats. I keep saying wooden boats, and go out into the Pacific Ocean and sail all over the place. Now, if you or I were to do that, that would be an unsolved. If you said get in a wooden boat, right? But it's interesting how people take these on. And then going back to the idea of Easter Island, I think there are some theories now, but I think it's still unsolved. Yet it becomes this magnet of curiosity. And I remember learning about Easter Island as a young kid, and I didn't end up pursuing a degree in archaeology or some of these others. Maybe I should have. But how many people were inspired or motivated to do bigger and crazier and even better or even solvable things? But it started with this curiosity about this unsolvable. And what if it's good that not everything's solved on the earth, right? Like if you wake up, you look around and go, hey, everything's solved. We solved this mystery, we solved that mystery, this disease cured, that one solved. If everything's solved, what would happen to humanity? We would just stagnate, right? What if we would regress even if we solved everything? We can go on and on, but maybe what if it's a great thing? What if it's one of the qualities of humanity that we can't solve everything?
Yeah, and thinking in terms of how to use, because this is a question that we sometimes have from our partners and the people watching the show, is how do I use this concept in my classroom? How do I use this concept in my company? How do I use this concept with, I don't know, working with my teams, with my teammates? And I would say, I'll put an example. If you go to the board meeting or if you go to the classroom and do this experiment and say, hey, today we are going to work in things that are unsolvable for our species today. Some stuff have been unsolvable for years,
Mhm.
but using your example, were solvable a couple thousand years ago. Yeah. For example, if we think in terms of Egypt and the thing in terms of the pyramids, and if we specifically think in terms of the door, the wall doors that they use in some of the aisles of the pyramids, these doors were moving, were pivoting in another stone. What's the name? The stone device that
Yeah.
was so perfect, and the, 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 the shape of this turning point was so perfect. And this is a chapter from Discovery Channel. I'm
Yeah.
not creating this. This is a chapter from Discovery Channel, and they say, hey, we do not have even the tools today that are public available to make this cut, to make this cut out of the stone. So basically, we do not know today how they managed to create this small device to be able to, I don't know, to pivot a stone door. So basically, today it's unsolvable, but a couple thousand years ago, it had a solution. And in this class, we will get to learn, and we will get to explore all the what if that you can find to be able to understand why it's unsolvable today. It's not to find the solution.
Yep.
It's to be able to find the why is unsolvable today. What are the what ifs? Name it. And that's one way to use the concept. As I said before, is not to use it in a negative way, but in a more positive approach that from the, I would say, the contraception, the traditional perception of stuff, try to create and produce more and more knowledge. And this is something that is quite exciting for your students, because now, Matt, we have many stuff that are so distracting nowadays in our classrooms, in our board meetings. But if we challenge the brain with stuff that are beyond even the social media, that's how we engage in new stuff, in new ways. And because some people is really worried, no, there's no way that I can compete with TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. But no, if you are competing against these platforms with the traditional approach, guess what? These platforms were created with a totally different approach. So you cannot get to win with the same approach that you are using. It's, I don't know, it's challenging the mind, challenging the status quo. You will be surprised. I'll bet you will be surprised with the results.
Definitely. And it's just I'm smiling too, because I can remember several. We talk about how do we use a question like this, like beyond just talking about it, right? There's several clients where we've taken this, like we've mentioned something that's unsolvable through a what if, right? What if this? And we all agree it's unsolvable or it's impossible. And then we start with curiosity, we start with fun. And then you discuss it, but then you start getting the parts. Once you start talking about it, again, it doesn't matter, even if it's unsolvable. What you start doing then is once you can articulate, once you can explain, like what you're saying, well, it's unsolvable, but why? Well, it's unsolvable or impossible to find a solution because of X, Y, and Z. Then you start it's not just X, Y, and Z, but these are different parts or components. And now you're allowed to look at them separately and possibly put them back together in a different way. It's a little bit like taking apart like an alien spacecraft, right? You have no idea how to fly it. But if you have it and you can take it apart, Now you can see all the parts that make up the spacecraft. And you may not be able to make the same thing. You may not be able to fly it. But you've got all of these parts that you could put something together, right? You can make something new, or you can make something different. It's a lot. It taps into some of the design thinking and systems thinking of once you can get the parts, separated. Now you've got like a Lego set. You've got like a toy set that you can start putting back together. And I know it sounds a little weird listening to all of this. We put it on paper and we do this. There's a whole process that goes to this. But the simple question of what if blank impossible, once you can articulate that, there's a lot that you can do as a group or collaboratively with those parts that you pull out of it.
Yeah, perfect example, man. And I think our partners and all the teachers and professors and even business people that is watching this video will find very useful this concept, and it's so powerful. At some point it's simple, but of course the complexity will arise. So that's the beauty, curiosity is so complex and could be so simple at the same time, that actually and I would say this is something from Buddha, you say, hey, the glass is half full or half empty. In the traditional Buddhism, what if both? Both, not just one. What if both? It's up to you. It's how to use these tools that we are giving to you in our shows. Our purpose here is to help you out in using the what if curiosity-based learning and the what if curiosity-based thinking. And it's challenging on using your curiosity, exercising your curiosity. So of course, we'll be more than happy to hear from you. If you have some thoughts and you have some questions, of course, or even if you have some answers as well, please shoot us a text or shoot us an email. I will be more than happy to reach you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels, and don't forget to be aware that our shows are online. This is our 20th show this year, because we were able actually to find a solution that for something that was unsolvable like 3 years ago. That is content. And the beauty is that this content is not just about this content, because it's part of something that is bigger, that of course will be aware of this in no time. But this is part of the thing, something that was unsolvable and now we can solve. But now that thing is, we want to reach more people, let many people to use the model of thinking. That I don't know, that's the way of helping the world. We have one more comment here. Okay, let me click here. Diana, oh my God, we have Diana. Hey, Diana.
Hey.
Okay, Diana.
This is good, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the perfectly, and that was what we were talking precisely. Maybe it's about the question, the way that you are asking.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah,
that's the beauty, Diana. Now you get it. Now that's
yep. And the value in this rethinking, I love it. If you can rethink, this is how you don't get stagnant in your thoughts. This is how you don't get, like we hear about silos and like how you believe the same thing over and over without challenging. You have to find ways, but it's easy to not rethink, right? We're not conditioned to challenge or rethink. So this is great. That the habit of rethinking. And then this idea of, I love you say, coming up with new questions or the right question. And from Mexico, this is fantastic, because I have a friend from Mexico too who's always talking about how do you get the right question. And the idea is, if you can find the right question, the answer is easy. And so I love, man, Deanna gets it. This is perfect. So if you can find a way to, and sometimes you don't get the right question without rethinking or re-questioning or re-asking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the beauty. You know, 4 countries today. That's so beautiful. Thanks to the technology. Yeah, what is coming? No, stay tuned because
Yeah.
we are here to be curious, to get curious about everything, to get curious about the way of creating knowledge and the way of thinking. That's the purpose of the show. Matt, it was so nice
Yeah.
to chat with you today about the interesting topic. So, see you in the next one.
Yeah. Always great getting curious with you, Nestor. See you next week.
Okay. Same here.
See you.